So many public washrooms have been closed since the start of the pandemic, and now there's an epidemiologist in Ottawa who's calling for the city to reopen a few of them for parents with kids and also for people who have nowhere else to go. And I just want to read a message here that we got from Janice. Janice writes that here in Halifax, some streets have portable toilets. There is a homeless population who can't access public bathrooms because of lockdowns. They need a toilet too. What do you think?
That's where my brain went to too. Is that the homeless? I mean, what options are there? It's one thing for us with homes to stay home, which is the message that is going on right now. I think that the lack of public washrooms is a reminder that the message that we're being told is to stay home. But yes, we have homeless people. But then I think the second step from there is then who's going to clean these washrooms? What kinds of risks are we putting those people at? Because we know that there's a chance of transmission that's higher in those types of enclosed spaces. I think what's necessary here is probably a rethink on the design of these toilets. Like maybe there's somebody who can come up with something. I mean, there's going to be a real cost to this, but where you're not, it's all like touchless. The door opens automatically. The toilet seat sanitizes itself. I just don't see where the rights, it's fair, if it's fair to put somebody into that line of fire. Anyway, I'm going to go to Elise on Facebook, who said, I have peed in public more times than I can count during the COVID-19 pandemic. Yes, public washrooms should be open. They are a right and essential.
I'm going to go to Lolita on Facebook, and she says, I know everyone is thinking of how essential a bathroom is, but everyone is ignoring that a bathroom is high traffic and a potential area for the virus to spread. Yeah, I hear you, Lolita. Personally, public washrooms gross me out big time. And so I try to avoid them at all costs. And by extension, I try to have my children avoid them at all costs. So if we are meant to go anywhere, I make Dash go to the washroom 5 times. Seriously. Because he's the one, right, that we're going to end up stopping for. And once we get in the car, I control his liquid intake. I'm saying that I know on national television. I know it's excessive, but I monitor, the amount of water and everything else because I don't want to have to stop anywhere. That's how we're living right now.
I'm going to say to my daughter who's asking me about homework, yes, you can. And speaking of my daughter, it's the opposite case with Marquesa. We don't have to limit fluids or anything like that. We're very lucky. But my daughter has the opposite problem where she refuses to go pee. And this started way back in daycare and has come all the way through. And now she's at home with me and I really see it. And she's like a camel, doesn't need to drink much, but she can hold it for 8+ hours to the point that her teachers were like, is she okay? And when I'd ask her, why don't you want to go to the bathroom? She's like, it is so dirty in there. And I said, okay, fair point. That's a fair point to bring up.
Yes.
And so we have to, she's with you, Mars. And so it really is the question of making her go. Because I said, there are 3 letters you need to learn. I know you're learning the alphabet. There's also 3 letters called UTI. So we don't want to go down that road if not necessary. So far, so good. But hey, we're very lucky. As you said, Cynthia, off the top, we haven't had to leave the house for more than, a half an hour at a time. So I feel very lucky that that's our situation. I do want to say for Tracy on Facebook, she brings up this point, really hard to leave the house these days for those with GI issues, gastrointestinal issues like myself. Health officials' advice is to go for walks, but it's impossible for many of us, leading to flare-ups. Vicious circle, she writes. So very, very good point indeed.
I get that. I get that there's a need for public facilities, certainly for people who are homeless and for parents who are out there. For me personally, I am with Marcy. I have never, ever enjoyed a public washroom. I barely can tolerate a mall washroom. And I'm a little bit I'm Marcy myself in the sense of I restrict my own water intake. I would rather dehydrate myself or give myself a UTI than have to use a public washroom. There's a story that my mother tells all the time. It's when one summer we were in Hong Kong And I was so precious, and I'm still like this. I'm not proud of it, but I mean, and criticize me if you want. Like, it's just part of who I am. But I was 8. I had to pee. I refused to pee anywhere except for the Peninsula Hotel, which is the nicest hotel in Hong Kong. And so my mother had to take me to the Peninsula Hotel. And the joke in my family is that it was the most expensive pee of all time, because at the time, to get into the Peninsula, you had to pay $50 to the doorman. And then in the washroom, you had to pay $50 Hong Kong dollars to the washroom attendant. So it ended up being a $100 Hong Kong dollar pee, which at the time in 1981 was the equivalent of 20 Canadian dollars just for a pee. And she has dragged me for life, like for years, because of my expensive pee. But I can't do it. I can't do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Laine.
There you have it.